Welcome on into the All Aussie Rules YouTube channel, and welcome on into another 2026 AFL season preview. This one's for the Western Bulldogs. That's right, we've made it to the final of the 18 clubs. We've gone through alphabetically season previews for every single team. They're already up on the channel. Go check them out. Today's the final one. In these episodes, we take a look at the recent history of the club. We look at all the ins and outs. We look at the depth chart, the best 23, and we finish off with a fixture analysis and a little bit of talk about what we expect from the club in this season. So that's what the plan is today. We're taking a look at the Bulldogs. If you're new around here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. We've got plenty of videos on the channel. All of these season previews, as well as 2 podcasts every single week, Mondays and Thursday or Friday, depending what time of the year it is. And plenty of other stuff. Also, all over the internet, go check us out on TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, all of those, all Aussie Rules everywhere. Go check it out. Let's jump into the Western Bulldogs 2026, because that's what you're here for. Let's get it. So last season, the Doggies finished 9th position. So missed finals by 1 spot. Obviously, this season that would be enough for finals, but last year there was just the final 8. 23 games, 14 wins, 9 losses, and that was not enough to play finals last year. And probably a big reason why we're getting 10 teams into finals now is because teams like this that were well above the average at 14 wins from 23 games was not enough for finals. They also had the best percentage in the AFL, which is crazy. 108.4 points for, 79.1 points against. And that was due to them absolutely just smashing every team below them on the ladder throughout the year. That's just what they did. Unfortunately for the Bulldogs, they were not so good against the teams above them. There was only one team that finished in the finals that they actually beat in season 2025, and that was GWS. They beat them twice. But every other team that played finals last year, the Bulldogs lost to. And that is the sole reason why they were not good enough to play finals last year. Their numbers are huge week in, week out, but for some reason, they just can't get over the line. Their midfield's great, their forward line's great, their back line might be a bit of an issue, but I mean, they're still only conceding 79 points per game on average. But that was heavily weighted due to the fact that they just dominated some low-ranked teams. The St Kildas, the Essendons, they absolutely demolished multiple times throughout the season. Looking at the last 5 years for the Bulldogs, obviously we just mentioned 2025. They finished 9th, 14 wins, 9 losses. 2024, they did make it to the finals. They finished 6th in the home and away season, hosted Hawthorn at the MCG in an elimination final, lost that one, finishing 7th. 2023, similar to 2025, finished 9th, 12 wins, 11 losses, missed finals. 2022, similar to 2024, finished 8th on the ladder, made an elimination final, obviously lost that one, and finish up 8th on the ladder. 2021 finished 5th on the ladder, 18 wins, 8 losses. Made the run through the elimination final, semi-final, prelim final, all the way through to the grand final where they played Melbourne. Led at one point of that grand final in the 3rd quarter, but Melbourne smashed them late and overran them late in that 3rd quarter and then into the 4th. So runners-up in 2021, so 3 finals appearances for 2 elimination final losses and a grand final appearance, and 2 seasons where they just missed finals by 1 position. So it's been a weird sort of 5-year period, I guess, in a lot of ways for the Bulldogs. Certainly the last 4 years, very consistently, they're around that 12 to 14 win mark, 8th, 9th, 7th, 9th. Can they take that next step? We'll have to wait and see, but they have a lot of talent on this list. It's about whether they can turn that into success or not is going to be a major factor for the Bulldogs and where they end up in season 2026. Taking a look at the ins and outs for the Bulldogs this season, or in the off-season, one senior in, that is, Connor Buderick comes across in a trade from Gold Coast. They also had 3 draft picks. Lachlan Carmichael, pick 21. Lewis Emmett, pick number 27. And Will Darcy is pick number 60, brother of Sam. So that's the ins. Not a huge amount in, but that's basically where they're at. The outs, there's a few here. The big one, probably Jamara Ugle-Hagan traded off to the Gold Coast. Not that he was part of their team at all last year. Didn't play a game. Obviously, did start to train with them and stuff, but didn't play a game. So it's a loss, but it's not really a loss that is noticeable year on year because they didn't have access to him last season anyway. Taylor Duray retired, so that's another senior player out. And then some delistings with multiple of these senior players, and in Jason Johannesson's case, a premiership player. So Johannesson, Liam Jones, and then Caleb Poulter and Anthony Scott also delisted. So the other 6 outs off their list from last season. Not a huge amount of changes in this team compared to some other teams. Like in the last episode, we looked at the West Coast Eagles. They have, I think, 11 ins and 10 outs over the off-season. So roughly half that, maybe even slightly less than half of that movement. And a fair chunk of it young players in terms of coming in. So just a little bit of a reassess, I guess, in a lot of ways for the Doggies list here. And it'll be interesting to see how this progresses, whether they keep pushing to try and make that next step. You'd imagine they would. They have that much talent on this list through the midfield and forward line. So we'll see how that shapes up. But we'll jump into the depth chart and we'll have a look at this in a little bit more detail. So if you're new around here, we'll just do a quick explanation on the numbers and what they all mean. But we do rate every single player, every single game, and that gives you that 2025 rating. That's their average rating for the year. We then put them all in their position and rank them in that way, and that's the position rank, obviously. Top 10% of each position is elite. Now the purple ones. After that, 10 to 25% is top class. They're blue. Then there's green, which is above average. That's 25 down to 40%. Yellow is average, and that's 40 down to 60%. And then everyone else below that is orange and below average. Red did not play last season, but were on an AFL list. And then your final colour is the pink one, which is anyone that was not on an AFL list last year, but is this season. So going through the back line to start with for the Bulldogs, general defender-wise, Bailey Dale, one of the best in the competition. He had 48 touches in a game last year at one point. Good ball user, high possession getter. He's the main one. They want the ball in his hands coming out of that back line. So, yeah, clearly highest rated general defender. Unfortunately for the Bulldogs, perhaps they lack a little bit of extra ability to support him. They probably want another 1 or 2 inside that top 50 mark, but they just don't have that at the moment. And it's probably an area of the ground, both there and the key defenders, that they do need a little bit of support in. But Luke Cleary was 65, Lachlan Bramble was ranked 71, and then Caulfield Gallagher didn't play enough football to be ranked before Lockie Jacks, Michael Selwood, who didn't play last year, then Lachlan Carmichael, who was the draft pick. And it'll be interesting to see how he progresses throughout the season. Where does that talent come and boost that up? We all know that they have a really talented midfield. Does one of them switch back to a half-back flank like Ed Richards obviously was a couple years ago, but he's become such an elite midfielder that they can't really take him out of the midfield and chuck him back, but maybe they need to find someone that can do that to support Bailey Dale as the ball user out of that back line. In terms of key defence, Rory Lobb had a bit of a hit and miss season, I guess, in a lot of ways in 2025. He's still ranked number 14 in the AFL. Pretty solid numbers across the year. It's that second and third key defender that might be the issue. James O'Donnell showed some really good signs and I think will continue to improve. So you can probably expect him to be maybe top 30 key defender possibly this season, which they definitely need. But who's else is going to step up in that role? Is it Jed Buslinger? Is it Ryan Gardner stepping up? Zach Walker, who didn't play last year. You would imagine Will Darcy is not quite ready yet. Obviously, only just got drafted. He's a key position player that usually would take a little bit longer to find their feet, but we'll see if he's given the opportunity and how he goes with that. But you can't expect him to go straight in and be a top 35 key defender in the competition. So that's basically where we're at with the Bulldogs backline. The top end talent, good. Bailey Dale, obviously, but they just lack that middle range. Anyone in the above average or better category. Well, they don't even have anyone in average or above average in either position. So that's their big issue, trying to get some of these other players to take that next step and support the top ones out. Taking a look at the forward line for the Bulldogs, Riley West and Riley Sanders, who were reasonably high rated. Obviously, Sanders is a little bit different than your normal general forward. He plays kind of a similar sort of role to maybe quite a few players, I guess, in the AFL, in that high half forward, rotate through midfield sort of role. So they do get a fair bit more of the football than most general forwards, which obviously helps his rating out there. It'll be interesting to see if he can fight his way into this midfield. They've obviously got a lot of talent already in there. He's shown that he's certainly capable at AFL level, though. Riley West, he is more of your forward. He still gets a fair bit of the football, but he's definitely more of a stay-at-home forward most of the way, and coming off a really good season. Cody Waitman, we haven't seen last season due to injury. We won't see him for the first half of this season either, so he's still a fair way away, potentially, but he's certainly, from what we've seen of his ability to kick goals in the AFL, so he'll certainly slot into this team once fit. Next up, we got Lockie McNeil and Latham Vandermeer, who I think both are probably around about that best 23. Same with Connor Buderick, who joins them. It'll be interesting to see where he fits in. Cooper Hines was first season player last year. I think he'll only get better, but he's another ball winner, which is something that the Bulldogs don't really need more of, I wouldn't have thought, but it'll be interesting to see how that shapes up. And then we got Josh Dolan and Arthur Jones, who rated pretty lowly, but we haven't seen a lot of just yet, so we'll see what that entails in season 2026 for those guys. Key forwards, they got the best 1-2 combo just about here. Sam Darcy, ranked number 1 as a key forward. He does rotate through the ruck, but he's going to be an absolute menace over the next 10 years for a lot of teams. He's tall, he's a good mark, he's a good kick. He's going to be really hard to stop. So he's really important to this team, and we'll continue to see him go really, really well, I think, in 2026. And on the flip side of that is he makes Aaron Norton a lot better. When Sam Darcy was out between like round 6 and 12, Aaron Norton kind of at times felt like he was a little lost, or it looked like he was a little lost, and just his ability to kick goals was not as good. But when Sam Darcy's firing, it just allows Aaron Norton to fire as well, because he gets probably the easier matchup, and it just frees him up completely to really take over games. And his back half of the year was very, very good. So those two working in tandem will be really, really strong. Next up, you got Jordan Croft, who's shown some really good signs in the off-season. I think he is their option for third key forward, and a really good one at that. And then Baku Kamas, interesting what they do with him. He obviously was rated as a key forward last season. He's played a bit of key back as well. Is that where they should send him? I think personally he's better off in that back line, just because they already have really solid targets up forward, but their back line is also kind of not the best. If they could have him as their third key defender, I think that would be their best option in my opinion, but we'll see how they feel if they go with that at any point or not. But that's my thoughts on it. Jumping into the midfield, and this is clearly where they've got the most strength, I think. Number 1 player in the game, Marcus Bontempelli, absolute gun. Some of the numbers we saw from him again last year was ridiculous. He is an absolute gun. There's no doubt about it. Ed Richards, he was the fourth best inside midfielder in our rating system last year, especially when Bont wasn't there. But even when Bont was there, he's very, very good. So those two as the combo is really, really strong. Next up, Tom Liberatore just keeps kicking on year in, year out. Just doesn't fade at all. So he just keeps putting up numbers. Tackles hard, wins clearances, wins footy, just does it all. Matthew Kennedy in his first season as a Bulldog started really strongly. Still ended up ranked 25 as an inside mid in the competition, so really highly. Kicked some goals, really, really beneficial. Added a bit to this team as well as that fourth midfielder, which is crazy. And then even stranger, Treloar barely played last year after being All-Australian the year before, obviously due to injury. But where does that fit? Like, that's 5 midfielders that are certainly capable of being top 30 inside mids in the competition. And that's before you get to a player like Joel Frazier, who is an up-and-coming star of the game. He plays a bit of general forward / inside mid, but at pretty much most other teams, he would be getting a lot more inside mid minutes. It's just this team is so stacked with midfielders that they kind of in a bind with finding them all time in the midfield. So that's a big concern for them, I think, going forward, is how they want to play this. Speaking before, when I was saying who's the best to go back and be that general defender, ball user out of the back line. And to be honest, I don't think any of them suit that role perfectly anyway. So I could be wrong. One of them might stand up and do it, but they're all definitely very good players and should be in pretty much most teams' best 23s, but they are very, very dense in that position. Riley Garcia, Luke Kennedy coming into this lineup won't be easy. They'll probably have to go via different positions on the ground. Outside mids, Bailey Williams, really solid last year. He was 7th, ranked 7th. James Harms was ranked 11th. He has actually retired since I started making these graphics, so I have added that he's retired, but so they will be without him this season. But obviously he had a very good year last year. Oscar Baker, good numbers as well. And Sam Davidson in his first season showed some really good signs as well. So once again, just more players that all kind of play that sort of role. Maybe one of them can go as a halfback flanker. Maybe Sam Davidson wouldn't be the worst. But we'll see how that shapes up. And in the ruck, Tim English was actually ranked number 2 as a ruckman in the AFL last season. Was helped out by some of the games where they dominated, and he just dominates score involvements. There was one game where I think he had 17 or 19 score involvements. He's a gun. As a tap ruckman, will that eventuate this season? It's going to be interesting to see how his game style kind of shapes up in the new system. But as a tap ruckman, he's one of the best in the game. Lachlan Smith didn't play last year, and Lewis Emmett, who was picked 27, more of a long-term prospect, but we'll see how that shapes up with potentially a lot of teams starting to play 2 ruckmen most weeks. We'll see if that is what happens, but on paper it looks like that could be something that does happen, especially with 5 on the bench in 2023 and no more sub rule. Looking at the best 23, starting at the forward line, Cody Waitman, as we said, he won't be playing at the start of the season, but he is in their best 23 when fit. Aaron Norton, Lathan Vandermeer, and then half forward line, Riley West, Sam Darcy. I was almost about to call him Sean Darcy for some reason. Sam Darcy at centre half forward, Riley Sanders on the half forward flank. The wings, Bailey Williams and Oscar Baker. Tom Liberatore, Bontempelli and Ed Richards as their starting inside mid. Tim English, obviously, in the ruck. And then on the back line, we've got Bailey Dale, Jed Buslinger and Lachlan Bramble. And in the back line, Luke Cleary, Rory Lobb and James O'Donnell. And then a very solid bench of midfielders and one key forward. Joel Frazier, Adam Treloar, Connor Butterick, who's more of a general forward, Matthew Kennedy and Jordan Croft. I don't know if it's the best full lineup, but I don't know. It's a weird team, the Bulldogs. They're hard to get your head around at times. The next 6 that I had on my list that missed out on this team: Riley Garcia, Nick Caulfield, Sam Davidson, Baku Kamas, Cooper Hines and Harvey Gallagher. It's a team that certainly for midfielders is very hard to break into because they have so much top end talent. Let me know what you think. If there's any players that I missed or you think shouldn't be in the best 23, jump in the comments below. Let me know. They're a team that is on paper as good as any team just about, but they haven't been able to put that together. So we'll see what that means for the Bulldogs in season 2026. Final thing to look at is the fixture analysis. So they have 5 home games, 7 away games, and 11 neutral games in 2026. 16 games in Victoria, 3 in South Australia, 1 in WA, 1 in New South Wales, and 2 in Queensland. They have byes in round 3 and round 16. The teams they played twice: Hawthorn, who finished 4th, Adelaide, who finished 5th, Sydney, who finished 10th, Fremantle, who finished 8th, Carlton 11th, Melbourne 14th. Those top 4, Hawthorn, Adelaide, Sydney, Fremantle, all look on paper pretty tough matchups. All 4 of those are expected to be definitely finals contenders again this year. Unfortunately for the Bulldogs, they don't get GWS twice, who is the team that they have the most success against in terms of top 8 teams over the last couple of years. But that's not to eventuate. No super easy matchups. We don't exactly know what we'll see from Carlton and Melbourne this year, but both of them could be bottom 4 teams, but also may not be. So we'll see how that shapes up. Final thing, draw difficulty 4th. So the 4th hardest draw, if you're interested in how I came up with that, takes into account who you play and where you play them, basically. This was all done in a podcast episode late last year. Once the fixture was released, we went through every single factor in that episode, so go check it out. But yeah, Bulldogs 4th hardest. According to those numbers, the 4 hardest teams were Gold Coast, Carlton, Essendon, Bulldogs, with a reasonably difficult draw, a team that didn't have great success against teams that played finals last year. It's not going to be easy. They didn't beat Hawthorn, they didn't beat Adelaide, they didn't beat Fremantle last year. So it's going to be difficult, but not impossible for the Bulldogs to improve. They are, on paper, a very good team. Offensively, they're great. They just struggle against top teams, certainly defending against top teams. So I think that's the number 1 priority for them. But I would certainly be expecting this team to be playing in September, especially now that 10 teams make it to September. But I wouldn't be surprised to see them anywhere from 5th down to 10. And if things start going really well and start clicking for them, they are a team that is capable of being top 4. So I wouldn't completely write that off either for the Bulldogs. That's pretty much all I've got for you on the Western Bulldogs 2026 season. Hope you've enjoyed this episode. Before you go, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Don't miss a video. Hit that noti bell so you don't miss any of them. Like this video if you enjoyed. Jump in the comments. Let me know what you think of the Western Bulldogs 2026 campaign. We'll be back with more videos real soon. Next podcast episode goes live tomorrow, I think. That'll be our AFL season preview episode. And then next week we've got the community series match wrap-ups. And then it's into AFL season. So make sure you do subscribe. Make sure you come back and check out the rest of the content. And also go over and check out all the social media stuff. All Aussie Rules everywhere. I'm John. This has been another episode of the All Aussie Rules YouTube channel. I hope you've enjoyed it, and I will catch you on the next one.